The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tokutalk. Marcus and Jacob here to conclude, will we say?
Yeah.
Conclude our color series.
Sorry, I still have a lot of energy. We're coming off of the arc review.
He's got BL on the brain.
I got BL on the brain. And there's no T.
Pinks and whites.
I don't like tomatoes. Not raw tomatoes.
Oh, fair enough.
Pinks and whites.
So just a BT?
With a C. I do like cheese. Oh, yeah, BLC.
Okay.
Anyway, pinks and whites.
I mean, I'm just thinking boy love with cheese. I mean, yeah.
Sounds like a great combination to me.
Sounds like somebody's having a good afternoon. Anywho.
Sounds like somebody's finished.
That too.
I'm having a good time.
I'm glad we are.
Pinks and whites, as we finally say it for the third time and finally get back to it.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about them. What are their archetypes? You know, sometimes we end up having the very girly pink, sort of like a Pink Racer. It's automatically doesn't come into mind for me. On the other hand, we end up having the pink. So, you know what that means.
You may need to elaborate for the folks at home.
The one that is the best. She's just the best. She's the cool one. Sort of like Momo Ranger. Wow, I blanked.
Dynapink comes to mind for me for the cool one.
Change Phoenix. My girl. Yes. We love somebody who dresses up.
Yes.
As we said multiple times.
The costume change episode, especially on the show era.
Man, oh man. Who is it? Was it Dynapink or Goggle Pink? Nope, both of them had a costume change episode. And anytime that happened, it automatically...
Because Goggle Pink had the one with the dolls.
Yes.
And we got to see a lot of different archetypes, like costume changes between like a fencer and stuff. And that was a lot of fun.
My favorite part of that was she was like walking down the street and the bad guys come up to her and ask for directions.
That was amazing. They asked...
Ada?
Where'd she go? She went that way. Oh, she went that way. Oh, yes, thank you. Wait a second! It's you!
Of course, the costume change thing isn't exclusive to the pink. Sometimes it'll be given to the white if there's no pink on that team. Or, in the case of Abba Ranger, it'll be given to Abba Yellow. But a lot of times, at least for the pink, we end up having either she's the girl, she's the girly girl, if there's more than one on the team, or she's just the best woman. Sort of like Boken Pink, who I liked a lot. She was the very serious one of that team. Versus some of the other people on the team, especially versus Yellow, who was the much more kid version of it. But the pinks tend to take on a couple of roles, but they're sort of more gendered than anything else.
Team mom, team big sister,
team little sister.
She'll be more squishy, and she's team little sister that everyone else has to protect. Sometimes she'll be the action girl.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'll wear multiple hats at once.
Yeah.
But I think one of the ones that really stands out to me in terms of changing that up was Dynapink. Dynapink, I mentioned this in our review, but the prior shows that we had reviewed before this, from the show era, they were all very classically feminine. Classically, feminine for what the Japanese ideal of femininity was at the time.
I think the only one that really sort of breaks that is Momo Ranger.
Yeah.
Who was a spy. So she was the one. She had it more cool than I think anybody else in that show.
True, but I think about what I said about the about how they are viewed in the opening theme song.
Yeah.
When we see the pink, we cut to all the guys, and the guys are all doing action poses. They're all doing something that requires leaping or jumping or punching or whatnot.
You know who automatically comes to mind when you say that to me? I know Dynapink is for you. Pink 5 from Bioman.
Okay.
All the guys are sort of doing, something a little bit cool, but she's on the merry-go-round playing her flute, which is, a bit softer. than everybody else.
But yeah, we'll cut to the Pink Ranger, and they'll be wearing a pretty dress. They'll be swimming, doing gymnastics, something that might be considered more classically feminine.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Dynapink, and she's like walking in a kimono, but then she notices a commotion, leaps and does a flip in the air, and then we see her doing like fencing and doing something more action-oriented, and I think that really falls in lines with... I mean, it's what Dynaman was as a whole. Dynaman was just action, action, action.
It's true.
All just completely relentless at all times.
Explosions.
And they had the Pink Ranger change to fit that mold, but I think it was just such a nice change of pace to what we had got before.
And honestly, they do end up switching a little bit between that Dynapink and like Pink 5 since they came back to each other. But even going into Changeman where they had both a pink and a white, white in that show specifically was the science. She was the head of the, basically, she was science woman. But Pink...
Dr. Scientist.
Yeah, she was Dr. Dr. Girlfriend. We're the Venture Brothers. But, and for Changeman specifically, since this is one of the two shows where they end up having both, Phoenix ends up being the one, like, she has knives and everything. I think Change Mermaid is throwing a grenade. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while since I've seen the beginning of Changeman. But they're, like, doing all the action poses, but they were military. So it makes complete and utter sense for them. But you also end up having something like Pink Mask, who was, she was the Tai Chi woman, but she was also just a little bit more demure, very mindful, unlike some of the other ones. Pink Turbo was there, man. She was just there. She existed.
She was the student council president, popular among her peers.
Yeah.
Considered to be a leader and a strong among everyone else. The problem is she was in Turbo Ranger. The problem is she was in Turbo Ranger, and Turbo Ranger did not have good character writing or give its characters enough to do.
Yeah, Lou and Flashman was sort of just, I'm going to be a little bit more... Well, I think Sarah was honestly the most like...
Sarah was the more feminine one.
Yeah, Lou was...
And then Lou was more the cool action gal.
Yeah, with her boots.
Mm-hmm.
She had
playing
boots.
tennis, kicking the ball.
She had boots. Okay, we got to talk about the one that sort of got screwed.
Go on.
Hot Queen from Jekka. She was the coolest when she had long hair. And then the show changed, and with the show change came a haircut. And she became what? Less cool. She became less cool.
Forgive me if Jakku has almost exited my memory completely.
I just only remember the first 2 episodes because they were good. Then everything else started to happen. As we end up getting into the 90s, I mean, you have our first female leader in Tsuruhime. I loved her.
Ninja White.
Yes, with them coming back for the 30th not too long ago. Still great to just see her out doing things. She is now a kindergarten teacher, if I remember correctly. Her actress. And I think she's also one in show. So they just like, well, play the type.
Art imitating life or vice versa. You tell me.
Play the type. Mega Pink. We all know how much I love Mega Ranger. But it's also just good to have something like that. She comes back again in Gao Ranger to hang out with Gao White and see their morphers. Like, oh my god, you guys have cell phones? Time Pink being action girl of the century. Yes.
Spanning the centuries.
Yes. But then you also end up going back. I don't know if I'm going to call it going backwards, but it also is going a little bit more playing to type when there's 2 girls on the team. Because we
have our Cool Beauty and we have our Hime-san.
Deca Ranger. That's a very good one of that with Deca Pink always in the bathtub.
Yeah. Gokaiger is what springs to my mind first with Luca and Ami.
Yes. Magi Ranger with the 2 sisters being very diametrically opposed. With Blue taking on the motherly role and Pink being that girl. But she also does end up getting one of the best episodes in the show with the Thundercloud head guy near the end of it, right before Inma comes back. Yeah, it's usually... It ends up depending, at least for the pinks and the whites, and I'm going to leave out Geki Chopper because he is his own special thing. But if there ends up being two girls on the show, it usually ends up depending on how they want those characters to be portrayed. Kasumi and White from Ninja. Kasumi was the cool one. She was the smart lady. So she got to be cool. That's what she wanted to do. I mean, Kira Major, one was a doctor.
Yeah, one was a doctor, one was an athlete.
And let's see, any other ones that end up coming to mind right off the bat? I mean, and oh my god, this is more of a Kobayashi thing, but freaking Kyoryuger. Thighs. I think she was 16.
You won't exactly hear complaints from me when it comes to those.
You might. She was 16.
Hey, yeah. Fair enough.
She was 16 at that time. Tokuger. Oh, well, she was the youngest one. Pink was the youngest on that team.
Pink was the youngest. She had a big imagination.
Yeah.
Loved to imagine herself in different things that gave her... giving her different powers.
Yeah. Which, definitely ended up...
And then you had Yellow taking on the big sister role.
Yeah. Zoojer, where White... Weirdly enough, Zuo Tiger was a little bit more... Sailor was a little bit more stuck up, or blue. But Amu was more the one who was a lot more curious. So she would end up getting...
A curious cat, one might say.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what she was. But she's the one who ends up, I'm going to actually figure out exactly what's going on here in some cases. Raptor.
From Q-Ranger, yes.
Yeah.
I almost called it Kyoryuger.
Let's talk about our girl. Let's talk about Sango. Let's talk about Pink from Pat Ranger.
Yeah, she's great.
I love her.
She's great.
She's so good. I want her to do only good things. That's how I feel about her as a ranger. Especially when you're having Yellow being like sort of the girly girl one. She's
also much younger.
Yeah. Well, not much, but she had... Yellow was sort of like the girl.
I think the actress was like 15.
Yeah, she was fairly young.
Well, when they shot it.
But
15 or 16.
On the opposite side, you had Pink with the hidden cute side with her love of big fluffy animals and stuff. I still love that one time where she got like found out and she just stood up straight, looked dead ahead, and said nothing. Oh man! But
I'd be kind of want to rewatch Lupat.
I don't blame you.
It was a good show.
It was a great show. I really enjoyed the characters. You end up having the ones who end up playing more into comedy, like Ryu Soldier, where she's super strong for no reason.
Why not?
Imagine. But Zenkai's was just a comedy. Male Pink.
Yes. We have to talk about, what is it? What is it? A pheasant.
Yes, Kiji Brother.
Kiji Brother, thank you.
I feel like this is also a good place to talk about Geki Chopper. Because Geki Chopper's not a 6th. He's a 5th. Geki Chopper ends up coming in late. But he is our second male white ranger after Kiba Ranger. And our first one was not a 6th. So he ends up being, a part of the main team.
We had Kiba Ranger and we had Abare Killer.
Yeah, Abare Killer as well. And Abare Killer is the 6th, but he's the 5th. It's a weird thing. I didn't do it till he did.
You gotta reword it when you have only so many people on the team.
Yeah, but Geki Chopper comes in like he's super headstrong, super loud. He's sort of, because he's, a male white, he ends up coming off a lot different from any other female white that came before him, like Galway or something like that. You notice I didn't talk about some of the ones in the 90s. I didn't talk about Terror Ranger because her actress is, but yeah, she's like super nationalistic lady, and it's not great. We haven't seen 5 Men yet, so I can't really say anything about 5 Pink.
And probably by the time we see it, there might be nothing to say.
Probably.
If 5 Men is anything, if its reputation is anything to go by that I mean it's a show that doesn't exist.
And Gogo 5, she had to stand out because she was the only female sibling. But in Geki Chopper's case, he came in super loud. I'm going to, do all the things. And in Kichi Brothers' case, he was insane.
Kichi Brother he might be my favorite Pink.
I don't blame him.
He's up there for sure. He's an incredible character. I love the way he's written. The way he starts off from office worker wife guy who just lives for
wife.
For the moment when he gets home and gets to reunite with his beloved again. And the way we see him throughout this show go through those ups and downs.
Those severe downs.
Some very severe downs and very severe ups where he is willing to take the life of his teammates if it means protecting his beloved. Especially when he finds out that said wife is also someone's previous ex.
Yeah.
After some memory loss shenanigans.
He constantly gets turned into a Hitotsuki.
He's meek on the surface. He seems very unthreatening on the surface, but underneath, that guy, he'll mess you up.
He's not a good person.
If he needs to, he'll mess you.
He is not a good person.
He's flawed, I will say that.
But then again, everybody in Dawn Brothers is.
That's kind of the thing with Dawn Brothers, is everyone in it to some degree is like terrible.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Just a terrible person. And Boon Pink, although the show's not done, I am caught up. She is very energetic. She wants to do things that give her the power to take the wheel in that case. That was sort of the emphasis of the first episode. And she comes off as very positive, has all the jobs. She just wants to do a lot with her life. And I can really appreciate that. She's the only girl on that team as well, although we do end up having her side ISA lady. She's the only girl on that team, so she's just outside of the male harem that Taya has going on. For those of you who are caught up on Boonbunjer, I'm not lying.
We shall see.
She's just there. She is there to have a good time. And so is Taya. Chashiro has anything to say about it.
I think throughout our conversation over this past several minutes, when you say the Pink Ranger or the White Ranger, there's definitely an idea that springs to mind.
Yeah.
Of what that is.
Girl.
Precisely.
For the most part.
But I think if our conversation has proven anything, there can be a lot more to it.
Yeah.
There can be a lot more to it than first meets the eye.
As we've gone along, I mean, things have definitely ended up changing how that color is viewed. I mean, we didn't have a pink for a year, and then we did have one with Boonbunjer, and then we don't have one next year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because we have our first female black instead.
Well,
with pink accents.
I was going to say, technically we had Hiroki from...
our first full-time black.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. She was our first full-time black with Goju Unicorn. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to end up doing with her next year, because she will basically have to create the archetype on her own. And I really do appreciate that for her. I'm very happy for her. And I can't wait to see the press conference this coming week, because this will come out after. So, but yeah, pinks and whites, man, they tend to just go in one direction, but then we've gone to some other directions as the years have gone by, especially over the past 20. But let us know what you think.
It's a long history. A lot's happened with them over the years, just like all the colors we've had.
Especially because they're a little bit more constant in some cases. Sometimes both pink and white is there. Sometimes it's one or the other. Sometimes none at all. But they're there in some case or another. And of course, we got the outliers of the violets and things like that. But it's always good just to have those outliers. Let us know what you think about the pinks and whites in the comments below. Don't forget to join us on all the things, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.